I'm no longer afraid of death after a pointing of Muji. But what to do when you become passive, when you realize you're not the thoughts? You only become passive because you've been identified with the thoughts, and you've been motivated by your personal success and you taking from the world and you getting things and excitement. And as that disidentification begins to happen, then there becomes a different way of acting. You're acting from no place, from no thing. And often when you're going through that process, there's a confusion that comes on, and often people's solar plexus are in disbalance, and that begins to take over. And the reason that there is confusion that comes because you're so used to acting and doing your life from seeking. So you don't know how to, it's not that you don't know, it's just there's not a sinking into your natural way of being. There's not an absolute surrender to this moment and letting this moment speak, this moment talk. And this moment isn't lazy. It does have a laziness to it, but it also wants to do things. It also wants to manifest it. It wants to create. That's the way of the human, just like the bird wants to sing, and the dog loves to guard and bark and chase, and the pig likes to find mushrooms and chestnuts. The human loves to create. So at the moment, you've seen you're not your thoughts, but you're not acting from flow. What I suspect will happen, and this happens in many people, is that your solar plexus disbalance is beginning to come up, which most people have solar plexus disbalance. When the solar plexus is out of balance, so when it's in its negative, it can tell the stories like life is pointless, life is hopeless, I've got nothing to do, there's nothing for me to do, nothing ever works out for me, I can't do things, I can't do it. It's tiredness, exhaustion, frustration, anger. And when it's in its positive, it feels like it can do, it's got lots of hope, and it feels like life is hopeful, and it can accomplish things, it can make choices, it can conquer things, and it feels very energized. When you're identified, some people are totally identified with that positive state, and that too in a way is suffering, but it feels better than the negative state. And when you begin to challenge your identity, then you're not necessarily identifying all these dreams and all these accomplishments of what you can do. So what can happen is it can either go into the negative, or it can be truly seen through this illusion of you as a doer, you as a chooser, and that life is acting prior to that. Like life is, or acting through that. There's another way of acting that is not identified with those things. And that, it doesn't mean that, and it's a different way of acting. And it's the end of identity. So what you might be doing now is you might begin to identify with the negative of the solar plexus, which a lot of people in the West do identify with the negative, or they have big polarities between the positive and the negative. But I'd say a lot of people in the West really struggle with the solar plexus area. And so that's a chakra disbalance. You've got to see it's not true. You've got to see that you're not the doer, and then let doing come through you and action come through you. And it's very natural. And you want to understand it, and you're like, tell me more, understand. Like people always like, I want to understand, you've got to put it better. Like I remember I was at a talk in India, and I felt like I'd really been as honest and truthful and spontaneous as possible. And then a lady was like, I want more clarity. And it's that clarity is not it. It's not, it might be that I'm unclear, but it most probably isn't that I'm unclear. It's that firstly, your mind doesn't want to hear it. And secondly, you believe that freedom is clarity. It's not clarity. It's acting, it's dropping into this moment and letting this moment act, and seeing that there is nobody acting. There isn't a you there acting. There is life acting, that who you are is the experiencer. Who you really are is this vastness, this hugeness, this freedom that's acting. And you've got this idea that you're acting inside the body, that you're moving the arms, that you're moving the mouth, that you're listening to me. This is a lie. You've even got the idea that you're creating your life, that you've got to do things for the future, that you've got this future you've got to arrive to, and you've got these dreams that you've got to fulfill, rather than just letting the body act, letting life act through this body. Like giving it totally back, like complete surrender to life.